Good morning. Palm Sunday, the Sunday of the Passion, is always a favorite day in the church's year. It's so much going on. There's all this movement. We have a donkey or a horse. We have the palms. We sing some beautiful songs. We get to move around as a congregation, which we don't often do. And then in some places, it's called Whiplash Sunday. All that fun and excitement. And then we're about to read the Passion Gospel. So we go from the highs of the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem to the lows of his arrest and crucifixion. And so in the midst of all that's going on, all the movement, the things that are different today, it might be easy to forget, what are the main things. It can feel overwhelming because we're doing so many things liturgically and musically. So in the brief reflection that I'm supposed to give, I just want us to remember two things. One is what we remember today and through Holy Week is the climax of the first part of God's rescue mission for us. That God became human in Jesus, that he lived as one of us, and then as he grew older, showed us how to live, taught us how to love, that all those things were part of God showing us the way back into relationship. And because Jesus was so different, that attracted the attention of the people who wanted to keep things the same. The people who wanted to stay in charge, the people who wanted to have their way. And as we'll read in the Passion story, that results in Jesus' unjust arrest and his torture and his death. That's part of the story. And yet, that which we did as human beings against the plan of God to rescue us did not prevent that rescue from going forward. So God and Jesus and his death on the cross still brought our rescue, brought our healing. The worst that humans could do still could not prevent God's mercy. So Jesus was able to absorb our evil, our capacity for evil, our sin, and transform that into our healing, transform that into our forgiveness. So that as the second part of God's rescue mission comes in a week, that together they help to not only heal us, but help us to share God's love with others. And that's the second main point to remember. So God has got a mission that saves us, and then God calls us to participate, to receive forgiveness for our sins, and then to take up our cross and follow Jesus. That we too are following what he said as our example, to offer forgiveness, to proclaim the good news of God's love, and to help others to experience that as well. And as part of that, historically in the church, a thing I want us to remember, and though I know no one in this room would have that feeling, is at times the church has misinterpreted and amplified certain verses in the Passion to try to blame the Jewish people for Jesus' death. And that's wrong historically and morally and theologically, that what God was doing was in and through the Jewish people for the good of all of us. And those who were in power that made those choices were representing all of us. So just as a reminder, so the church has repented of that after Vatican II, and I always try to remind people on Good Friday and on this day of that part of our history, because what we're called to do is not to blame others, but again to follow Jesus in the way of love. Amen.